Hey there, friends and enemies. JoPaWrites here again, and today I wanted to go over the state of the game for Destiny 2 in August 2023 that Bungie just dropped, because it is a pretty thick one. There's a lot going on. I know there's been mixed reception to it so far. I'm mostly positive on the game. I'm excited for the showcase that is not only going to include Season 22, but also the final shape, which happens on August 22nd, which is just a few weeks away, and I'm really hyped about that. But let's jump into what they say about where the game is now and some of the ritual activity changes, all that kind of good stuff. So they talk about feedback and where the game has been, where it's going. And then as far as ritual updates, they already changed it, so there's no more pinnacle cap. We get exotic engrams. I think that's a weird change going forward, because there's going to be a limit to when the exotic armors become unnecessary at a certain point once you have a lot of them. Now you can focus some of them, but that is rather costly. So it's a change that I understand why they've gone away from the pinnacle system, but I don't know how long this will last with just being exotics that are earnable. And they also change it so that way you can do any 9 playlist activities, whether it's 9 Crucible matches, 9 Vanguard, 9 Gambit, instead of just doing 3 of each, which is nice change, especially if you're like primarily a PvP player. However, you will have to go into those individual playlists if you want the new weapons that are dropping, such as the Unending Tempest Stasis Submachine Gun. We've got the Lunar Regolith Solar Sniper, Qua Zeph, I don't know how to say it, the Void Machine Gun, the Cataphract. These names are wild. Strand, Grenade Launcher, and Trials, and more. So there's a lot coming, as well as the Hammer of Soul, or the Igneous Hammer is coming back, as well as the Warden's Law, which is getting a complete rework. So all that is very nice, and I'm looking forward to some of these. It looks like it's going to be easier to get a lot of these weapons as well, because you will be able to focus them in the season that they drop instead of having to wait an entire season, which I think is a good change. Now, so as far as the PvP updates, they're looking to tackle cheaters. New PvP content, they do explain that new maps are difficult to make and cost a lot of time, energy, and resources from the developers. A lot of people won't be happy to hear that, but for me, I don't mind that not having so many new maps. I wish we got more frequent balance changes, as well as all these modes that are coming out. I'm excited about that. There's a lot of different PvP modes. I would rather have new modes than maps personally, but I know not everyone agrees with that. We do have a new Vex map that is coming this season. We have a returning Citadel map that is dropping next season as well. So that's going to be so Season 22 is the Vex map. Season 23 is going to be the Citadel map. And that's good. We also have the new modes. We have Relic and Checkmate, which they're going to get into, that are going to be in Crucible Labs. Multiplex is the new Vex map, which looks cool. I like the aesthetic. We'll see. So we had Cathedral of Dusk returning, and we had Disjunction drop. And neither one of those was received well. And I do wonder if that plays a part in them not really wanting to focus on new maps. Because if the map isn't received well, then it's a lot of time and energy wasted. So I think that might be something that plays into this, especially because PvP is part of the free game and not the paid game. So jumping into Checkmate, it's a modifier where rich primary fights can happen more often. This is the kind of mode that a lot of PvP mains were asking for. It's really focused on gun skill over ability usage. So we'll see how that goes. It'll be in Crucible Labs week 5 to 10. We'll start off with 2 weeks of Checkmate Control, then switch it up 2 weeks of Checkmate Survival, and 2 weeks of Checkmate Rumble. Rumble is where I think a lot of PvP players will go. Then we've got Relic, which sounds awesome. It's just hilarious. It's another one of those party modes where you have your main loadout, you get kills, and then you can either get the Aegis from the Vault of Glass, you can get the Synaptic Spear from Season of the Risen, and the Scythe from Season of the Haunted. That's crazy to me. This is going to be one of those modes that I think could be a lot of fun for more casual players who don't take the game as seriously, like myself in PvP. So that's going to be something that I'm personally looking forward to. This one is going to be lighthearted gameplay that can be enjoyed by anyone, similar to Mayhem. Team Scorched, I hope, goes away overall. And my preference would be for Relic to replace Scorched. This will be in Crucible Labs week 1 to 4, and again, week 11 to the close of the season. Matchmaking improvements, which I think are good. A lot of people still don't like that they're going to be loose skill-based matchmaking, but I don't see them ever going away from this, especially because this is a more of a casual, friendly game at this point. The team is also adding loose fire team matchmaking to Crucible rotators, including labs, to ensure players will be evenly matched against similar fire team sizes. So that means like if you're a team of 6, you're probably gonna run against another team of 6, or at least a team of 4 or 5 as well. So I think that's a good thing. Season 23, we've got aggressive frame strand pulse rifle dropping for competitive, so you can get the arc sniper in season 21 and then also in season 22, and then it'll go away. We're also focusing on map reprisal on Citadel. That's what I mentioned. So I'm excited about that. I'm looking forward to the Citadel map coming forward. And then Vanguard. They say it's in a solid place with a healthy population. This is contrary to a lot of people finding it boring, but I think there's a lot of players who do stick into the Vanguard playlist more often than not and really just kind of uh, grind strikes and just have fun with the game, use different weapons and stuff like that. You can level up weapons. It's slower, of course, but like you can do fun stuff in that mode if you have fun with it. Medals are returning to scoring, so allow for higher scores and reputation multipliers, etc. Our goal is to reward players for playing well. That makes sense, but I don't know if anyone's really going to care about their scores, especially when it's not a Nightfall. But it's just something additional to have in there. Some medals will only be for Guardian games, so we'll see. We've also recently focused more teams' resources into more varied and frequent seasonal activities, such as battlegrounds that can be used as Vanguard playlists. Some people don't like battlegrounds being strikes, but I don't understand the point of that. I don't understand the problem. Like they're roughly the same length as strikes. They're just a little different, not as traditional as strikes. If they were called strikes, I don't think there'd be any complaints because they are a bit different. I know we grind them throughout a season and then they come back around, but they don't come back around until the end of the year, the beginning of the next year of Destiny. So I actually like Battlegrounds. I'm glad that we have a lot of variety in that playlist, and I think it's something that keeps things a little fresh. You can go through and go through 50 strikes and not see some of the strikes or battlegrounds that are in the game. So it's kind of funny that that's how it works, and that's how many that are in the game right now. Quiet on Gambit changes. This is bums me out as someone who is a reckoner from early on in Gambit's life cycle. I loved the game mode, but it seems like they're not really focusing on this one very much. These updates didn't move the needle for player engagement. Although we know our Gambit fans mostly care about new or returning maps, this area of the game with lower engagement that would take resources away from more popular parts of the game. While we don't have plans to dedicate more resources to significantly transform Gambit, we do have a few updates planned for the year of the final shape. These includes porting Cathedral of Scars map and its beautiful Dreaming City set, as well as adding the Shadow Legion and Lucent Hive enemy types. Okay, again, I'm bummed, but I understand. Gambit is entirely optional, so it's essentially not going to be necessary. I wouldn't be surprised if it does go away eventually as well. Reducing the number of Gambit-specific seasonal challenges. Finally, we're adding Fireteam Matchmaking to Gambit next season, which will replace Freelance. I like that too. I prefer Fireteam Matchmaking over Freelance. So we'll keep an eye on reception and player engagement after these additions take place, and we hope you'll visit Drifter next season to get your hands on his new Void machine gun. I'll definitely play enough to get that, but that'll be about it. Armor set rewards. They announced, this is a big bummer, that they wanted to do yearly releases of new armor sets for ritual playlists, and they didn't do it this year. So yeah, these sets have historically had very low adoption by players as both base armor and cosmetic rewards. At this time, we are amending our delivery plans for how often we refresh these sets, and will no longer be creating a new set for every expansion. However, they will do it for the final shape. We also have a new armor set for Trials, which is, I mean, this Titan set looks sick. I'm very excited about this one personally. I actually like this quite a lot. Game security, this is where they go into, they're trying to tackle more cheaters. I know there's been a rise in cheaters lately, so hopefully that's something that they take care of. I know they're suing another cheat maker, so we'll see how that works. They talk about when you get banned, how oftentimes it's not because you were cheating yourself, but because you shared your account or allowed access to someone else for your account. So that's a big takeaway from that one. And then stability updates. So this is something that they're hopefully in season 22, we're going to have a major update for the service improvements, which is good. And yeah, we also made major improvements to monitoring dashboards, which now gives Bungie Network Operations Center greater visibility in the systems, blah, blah, blah. Using these new logs and detentions, we were able to confidently make several early fixes to claims and server messages. So it looks like they're just steadily improving this over the course of time because it has deteriorated, and I hope that this is something that gets fixed. Because the worst thing is when you have constant maintenance, constant downtime, and just constant error codes. So as long as that's fixed, I think that'll be a good thing. So hopefully that is the case. The theme of season 23 will be helping to protect us against stability issues that might occur in the future. Okay, so that's pretty much all that. As we mentioned back in February, we were working behind the scenes to shake up the seasonal paradigm this year to subvert player expectations and make each season feel unique. Season 23 is really where they're going to jump into that even more so than we have in the past. I'm really hopeful. Obviously, the seasonal structure needs a massive shakeup to get people engaged once again. But yeah, a preview of what's to come. Before we get into our 6-month progress reports on our goals this year, we want to share some previews of some quality life upgrades. At our midpoint in Lightfall's year, we hope the sum of Season 22's updates, along with the new content we've called out here and everything yet to be revealed, will make Destiny 2 feel as fresh and exciting as ever. I don't know about that. It's an older game, so I don't think they can make it as fresh, but... so we got cosmetic favoriting. That's massive. I like that. Stasis aspects and fragments move to the vendor system. Nice. I like that a lot as well. Transmats will now be unlocks. Good. I like that as well. Wish Ender Pursuit changes. Okay, that's awesome. They updated the Wish Ender quest. That's huge. Resources tab added to collections. Again, that is really nice. I do like that quite a bit because now we can check that. Yeah. Okay, so I think that's good for newer players for sure. Iron Banner challenges split with Pinnacle rewards not being as big as draw. We felt it's time to split up Pinnacle acquisition and reputation multipliers. We added back Season of Haunted. Starting in Season 22, Iron Banner will have 2 different stacking challenges each day. One for players who just want the reputation multiplier, which does not require using specific seasonal subclasses. And one for players who are going after their Pinnacle rewards, which does require seasonal subclasses. Okay, that makes sense. Hopefully we see more variety in Iron Banner, because lack of variety with the subclasses has been the biggest issue. Ritual rank ups immediately, dating all the way back to Season 3. Ritual reputations, previously known as Valor, Glory, and Infamy, waited until you hit orbit to process any rank ups because the almost full screen banner would overwrite the scoreboard. Oh, so when we revamped and streamlined over the past, we moved the rank up banner to the bottom of the screen and made it less conspicuous, but we left the processing of the ranks until you hit orbit. Now we finally taken the step to make the rank up process immediately. Okay, this is a nice little quality of life thing. New strain aspects for next season. Whirling Maelstrom for the Hunter, Banner of War for the Titans, Weave Walk for the Warlocks. These new aspects that we got this season were good, so I'm looking forward to more of them next season as well. More exotic armor reworks are on the way. New weapon subfamilies incoming. These are the 2 changes that I'm most looking forward to be honest. I love when they do exotic armor reworks and really fresh up the game. And then weapon tuning preview is coming next week. No, this was, so they already went over the ones that they were in the mid-season weapon tuning update, but I think we also have balance changes for Season 22. Hand cannons will see increased reload speed and PvE damage buffs against minor and major enemies. Sword full power heavy attacks will be usable with any non-zero amount of sword energy. Okay, Touch of Malice is getting some tweaks. Okay, so there's some nice changes ahead for Season 22, and the full breakdown will be later this month, so not necessarily next week. So this is the full roundup. They want to expand players' imaginations. I think that's hit or miss. So talking about the overall narrative, this is what I wanted to talk about. So they said the final shape and its raid will provide a climactic conclusion to the Light and Dark saga before we look ahead to what's coming next in Destiny 2. So that means it's like a standalone, like once you finish it, that's it. That is the entirety of the story, which I like. But they also mentioned how they couldn't have told everything we need to know leading up to the final shape within just Lightfall. That's why they've done it over the course of the seasons, as well as some of the Lightfall updates that we got after launch, which I personally like because it takes time to settle. It feels like, in my opinion, it feels like the world is evolving over time and not just having something where you play the storyline, everything is knocked out, and then you don't see any changes over the course of time with how the storyline has progressed. So I like that. I like the seasonal storytelling because it means that, like, okay, we did this, and then a little bit later, something else happens to trigger this thing. So I'm looking forward to that. I think it's I like the seasonal storytelling more than most, but that's just me personally. So, and then finally, let's see, bring challenge back to Destiny. So this is a sore subject for a lot of folks, and I think it's like they've done a good job with the challenges, right? They raised the bar on Grandmasters with the PsyOps Battlegrounds, which the rest of the Nightfalls have kind of fallen behind. They'll probably raise some difficulty on that. No more power caps, which means you don't have to chase pinnacles, but you can get into Grandmasters and stuff earlier, which is good. But I think it makes them a bit easier because you get more practice with them. And then also the difficulties of raids and stuff like that. I think overall, games are naturally going to get easier over the course of time. But the problem is making a game that is this old, like we're looking at 5-6 years on Destiny 2, where players have been playing the entire time, have gotten really, really good, have perfect gear, and making it so newer and more recent players to Destiny still feel like they can jump in and have a good time and make their way up the ladder. And so I think a lot of hardcore players just have to realize at the end of the day that Destiny has become a casual focused game, and that's really what it is at the end of the day. So I just can't. I can't imagine it getting much harder than this overall. I don't see the final raid of the final shape being extremely difficult because they're going to want a high completion percentage. And that's one of the things that I think the community misses oftentimes. Everyone's complaining about Gambit not getting updates, but everyone complained about Gambit and it got so low population numbers, nobody played it. People wanted hard mode raids from Destiny 1, but the juice wasn't worth the squeeze for Bungie because people just did not play it enough to make it worthwhile. That's all I think about that, and I think it's something that the player base, you have to look at it and say, okay, what are players playing? What are they not playing? And that's really where the updates have to come at the end of the day. Based on feedback throughout the year, the Witch Queen, we knew players wanted more exotic missions. This is the exotic rotator that's coming in, which is very, very nice. I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be available day one of season 22. The rotator will kick off with the return of Presage to offer the Dead Man's Tale, which is craftable now. Very nice. After that, Vox Obscura and then Operation Seraph Shield will join the rotation. So I'm looking forward to that, especially if you missed any of these. Recap on the PvP front. I went over all that. Finally, we called out in February that we're initially targeting more changes to the ritual content the final season. This is a Pathfinder. This is going to be debuted on the new destination in the final shape, and we're currently nailing down a plan to how they use this new system to replace core ritual bounties in the new year. So it'll be a change, but I'm looking forward to seeing how this all works. Connect our Guardians gameplay system with quality of life features. We added in Life on made Destiny 2's most welcoming it's ever been for new and returning players, and we'll double down as we head in the final shape. Season 22 will include new ways to experience in-game moments in Destiny 2's history to help Guardians get caught up. In Season 23, our upcoming Fire Team Finder, LFG, will help players find fire teams. And then in the final shape, we're making big changes to the progression system that will help connect even more players and remove barriers for friends from taking the same content together. Cool. So really now we're just waiting for the showcase. I know this was a long one. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Helps me out tremendously. Shows you want to see more Destiny 2 content from me going forward. To recap, there's just a lot going on. I think this is going to take some time to kind of sit back and really settle on what this all means. But I am personally looking forward to a lot of these changes. I think some of them are good. Some of them are questionable, but all of them are understandable at the end of the day for me personally. My name is JoPa. I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a good one. I'll catch you all later.